Google dude. He's going to.
Oh, right, okay.
He's going to look on.
Right, the alarm's not going to go off, okay?
What was the problems that he's been trying to get up?
What? What?
Trying to get that up.
Oh, it just wouldn't go to that for some reason.
Right.
Sounds rude, doesn't it?
So this is the time, right? This is one day from 8 AM till 4 PM. If you go, if this goes into the red zone, it's overtime, and you get stressed. Okay, this is stress. Right. If you ever go over your stress level that the case tells you can have, and you finish the game, and then you go into the final report. So this is the TI marker. I can't remember what TI means, but you'll be moving from location to location. And if you're not in the location that you need to be, and you move to another location, you have to move this forward one space. Right?
Yeah.
So we've got 7 days to solve the case, maybe, depending on the case. This day marker. If we get to the end of the time when the case tells us we have to finish, then we go to the final report. All right? So what we'll be doing, we'll be using this database here, using the internet and these case leads to figure out what's happening with the case, right? Okay. So everybody gets to choose an investigator, and they've all got their special abilities. So it's entirely up to you who wants to first pick. I mean, just do it
We'll just dish
randomly.
them out.
Random. Okay.
Can't argue then, can
What
we?
if I'm a woman? Mia Roberts. Right. And the one that's not picked becomes a consultant that we can use.
Julia.
Julia. Hello, Julia. I'm
Jacobson.
Ben Harris.
Oh, right. So, Gabby, can you tell us who you are and what your special ability is? What
Okay, my
your
name is
job is?
Ben Harris. I'm a former FBI analyst, a bright, passionate and skillful analyst. He joins NTARS eager to exploit new opportunities. Spend 2 stars
These things. These
Yeah.
are,
from the token pool to add 1 star token to the token pool.
yeah, so what your special ability is, you can spend one of these good tokens to refresh another person's ability. Because you can only use this once per day. Okay? You only use your special ability once per day. Okay, so Julie, do you want to tell us who you are?
Investigator. Julia Jacobson. Former investigative journalist. Julia had a series of very successful investigations for her newspaper. She works well under pressure and with limited resources. Spend 1 star from the token pool to change 1 skill token of any type from the pool into 1 these tokens.
Right, okay.
Lock. Lock, is it?
So say spend what? One of these?
No, yeah, sorry,
Spend
actually.
1 star from
Yeah.
the token pool to change 1 skill token of any type from the pool into 1
TV thing? Or
yeah,
like a screen?
token.
Yeah, okay.
Right, yeah, sorry, yeah, mine will spend 2 tokens to add 1 of these.
Right. Okay. What's yours, Mother?
Well, I'm investigator Chris Stone, former private eye. Before joining Antares, he was one of the best PIs in Virginia. He always knows where to look. Spend 1 star and an appropriate skill token from the token pool to dig deeper on a lead card that has already been resolved.
Okay. Right, so I'm Mia Roberts. I'm a former psychologist. Mia worked for the police for almost 5 years. She shows great leadership skills and can bring out the best in anyone. And I spend 1 star token from the token pool to remove 1. Just so basically we just refresh somebody else's ability. Okay, right. And we've got a consultant here who's Henry Barnes. He's a retired cop. And he just gives us 2 of these tokens here that we can use. Okay.
What are they?
Right, they're just these tokens that we can
Oh,
use.
right.
So that it'll all become clear later on.
Yeah.
Right. So we open up the casebook. Right. So what we'll be doing, there's no turns or anything. We all decide what we're going to do from a list of actions, and then we take the actions.
Right.
All right. So
So it's a 1-shot game.
yeah, there's 5 cases though, but you're not going to use
Everything.
You're not going to have time to look through all the cards, right? So the actions we can do is follow a lead, right? We can dig deeper into a lead. We can browse the Antares website database. We can browse the internet, write a report. Writing a report means we can take one of these. Use an hour of time to take one of these. We can use the investigator's ability, spend authority tokens, which are these, right, to perform an action on a card or perform another action defined by a case, right?
Yep.
So, well, we'll just get into it, see where we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, too strong for me.
Right. Case number 1. A man with a golden watch. So, just says, read the introduction to the case of special rules, right? So in front of you, there's the first scenario of the campaign, the mystery of the golden watch. During the investigation, focus on the primary objective assigned to you by your superiors. Carefully look over every branching thread related to this case. Some of them are irrelevant, while others will unlock new meaning in future cases, allowing you to see them in a different light. Scattered throughout the cases are fragments of a greater whole that will slowly start piecing together. Remember the important initial leads presented to you in this intro. Take good notes, ideally in the form of a mind map. Carefully read the cards and try and draw valid conclusions before deciding to pursue the further leads. Most importantly, do not rush from card to card. Doing this will take you down a rabbit hole of information, causing the investigation to spiral out of control due to the sheer volume of information. Good luck. Right? So, this is the intro. The briefing room located on the first floor of the newly built building complex seems sterile. Light creamy walls with glazed windows overlooking the James River. A large white table, chromed handrails and black chairs and grey carpet fills the room. Despite being light and spacious, it lacks warmth. "Hello," says Delaware as he rolls his wheelchair to the head of the table. He has a tired, wrinkled face. Long strands of grey hair fall over his piercing eyes. He places his green notebook on the table. The task at hand is quite peculiar. The State Department has asked Antares to investigate a potential scandal. A few days ago, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Poland sent a confidential note asking for clarifications of an unusual event. Earlier, in the Ying auction house, a pocket watch with a gold-plated bezel appeared. It turned out to be serious. The watch is in the database of objects lost in World War II. The Poles identified it as a showpiece that was looted by the Germans from the Museum of the Land in Posen, Poland, or Posen, during the occupation of Poland. For Poles, it has both symbolic and sentimental value, as it was a memento of the great pianist Ignacy Paderewski. Whatever. According to the data provided by the Poles, the watch was stolen by a Nazi named Kurt Blutholz.
Yeah, right.
Of course, you'll find records about him in our database. He clears his throat, glances at his notebook as if he was trying to remember something, and then resumes his briefing. The auction house bought the watch for about $5,000 from a man named Rupert Owens, who apparently did not realise how valuable the item was. The watch is already secured in our evidence store. The matter is delicate. If this Blutholz, by some strange stroke of luck, had lived after the war in the United States, it would have been very unfortunate for political reasons. At least that's what the current administration thinks. Worse yet, the press will begin to sniff around. It's only a matter of time before the issue turns into a scandal that I would very much like to avoid in the first year of this agency's operation. Our task is to find answers before someone finds questions. He looks over the briefing room, checks his notes and sighs heavily. And finally, one very sad piece of information. The morning after tomorrow at the Olivet Cemetery, Michael Slater's funeral will take place. As you know, he was one of the police consultants who helped create our unit. He was a victim of a hit and run, a nasty end to a perfect career in the police force. It would be very nice if someone from our team could attend the funeral. We will gather at Richmond Police Department at 8 AM the day after tomorrow. From there, the police column will go to the cemetery. Okay, so we move the marker to 9 o'clock and we add 4 authority tokens to the pool. Okay. Right. Goal of the case is to investigate the events leading up to the watch from Poland ending up in the Ying auction house. Discover all stages and find the evidence to confirm them. So what will happen is, we'll go through this, right? We've got 4 days to complete the investigation, okay? Right? And our stress limit is 7. So what will happen is, at the end of day 4, or if the stress limit goes over 7, we'll go to a final case report, and we'll have to answer multiple choice questions, okay? And then it will give us our final score to tell us whether we solved the case or not. And then some of the evidence that we get may lead on to the next case and the next case and the next case. Okay? So, the further leads are access to Kurt Bloodholt's police files. So, wherever you see a name at, right, you can put it into this Antares database. Right, personalities, files, question. Wherever you see like files at, or whatever, anything at, it goes here.
Yeah.
And then you've also got things called, what are they called? DNA, SDNA, and certain signatures that go in here.
Right, okay.
Okay, to search for things. Right, so the further leads, the leads that we've got to start with are access to Kurt Bloodholt's police files, access to the police files on Rupert Owens, go to the evidence storage, in which case we take a card from there, interrogate Rupert Owens, another card, interrogate the auction house owners, or Michael Slater's funeral ceremony, Richmond PD, 8 AM day 3, put an additional token on day 3 as a reminder. So this tells us that we're going to think day 3. So put that on there. So day 3 and 4 things are going to happen, aren't they?
Well, it makes you wonder if it's all connected, doesn't it? Hit and run. Or is it a red herring?
I don't know. So what do you want to, what should we do?
We need to look up the files first, don't we?
Yeah.
We'll go Bloodholt.
Bloodhits.
So if you go to personal,
Can I do it as well?
yeah, you can do, yeah.
Database, isn't it?
Right, so you want to put name at, you have to put it in exactly as it says. It's just Kurt Bloodholt's.
At
No, it's just there.
Oh.
Just type his name in.
Kurt
Bloodholt's one thing.
K-U-R-T. How do you spell
Bluthols.
B-L-U-T what? H-O-L-T. Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
Right, so
With a space?
yeah, maybe it's a capital K, capital B.
Oh, right. Right, so capital.
Yeah, it's on capital already.
Oh, is that? Right.
H-A-L-T-Z.
Yeah.
K-U-R-T
Oh, maybe it's Blutholz. Blutholz.
space B.
Capital B.
Oh, where are we? Go back.
I must have spelled it wrong.
Top there.
Go back.
That's it
This one?
there. No.
Oh, there, of course it is. So it's capital B. Right, and U.
Yeah, U-T-H-O-L-Z.
B. U.
No, B-L.
B-L-U-T-H-O-L-Z.
U. T. H-O-L-Z.
Right.
There we go, got him.
So you want to read it out to us then?
Okay, surname, Blutholz Kurt. Date of birth, January 31st, 1911. Born in Munich,
Nice.
Germany. Date of death, no date. There's no date for place. There's no date for cause of death. Height 5'8", eyes brown, hair brown. Blood type O. Identifying marks, paralysis of the left hand due to shrapnel wound, not confirmed, that means paralysis. A tattoo of a spider above the right wrist, not confirmed.
What's a mind bomb?
Any more down there? What's that saying?
That's a high-ranking German microbiologist and scientist. During the war he conducted research on biological weapons and transplants, experimented with using sarin to kill prisoners of the concentration camp Auschwitz-Birkenau. An international arrest warrant has been issued, status unknown, officially is still prosecuted by the Polish and the Russian governments. And then we've got his criminal record. Do you want me to read all that? It's quite a bit. Right. The Polish Bill of Indictment for the Nuremberg trial mentions him as one of the criminals, along with documenting the testimonies of witnesses. The document, over 100 pages long, contains the most important facts and documents regarding Nazi crimes in Poland, against the Polish nation. This bill has been attached to the Soviet Bill of Indictment due to the fact that the Polish delegation could not formally partake in the works of the tribunal since the London Agreement of August the 8th, 1945, ensured only the representatives of the four powers, speaking on behalf of all nations, were present. So his charges were illegally carrying out microbiological and chemical tests on Poles imprisoned in the Auschwitz concentration camp and the prisoners of Fort 7 from Posen. 137 cases of experiments resulting in death were documented. Possible connection to Otto Skorzenier's organisation Spider, which is a criminal organisation. Further leads, blah blah. Seek out the assistance of a history consultant concerning Kurt Blutholz, stat hash 115 headquarters.
Yeah, it's
Whatever
a
that
card.
means. All right, okay.
So, I mean, what sort of notes do you think the thing about this spider tattoo?
Yeah. So we've got to
It's a
put.
mind bowl of a circle with things coming off it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have like Kurt Blutholz, and then
I think it's important to put down that his eyes are brown, hair brown, because he could have changed his appearance.
he's dead.
Oh,
No,
he's,
no, we don't.
he's not
Don't know
dead.
that.
1911 he was born. Got dead, isn't he?
We haven't said he's dead.
He's not. He's 108, and then yeah, he's only at 7.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Well, it's got here place of date of death, no date.
Yeah, he's,
Place of death,
unless
no
he's
date.
sort of immortal. I don't think he's ever alive.
What these Nazis like.
Mm.
I can't get that come up for me.
Yeah, you've got to put it in exactly as it says. So it'll be with the capitals K and B.
Oh, one word.
Yeah, yeah.
Was he blood type O?
Yeah. So this is taking place in present time, is that?
Mm.
Okay.
What was it? And spider.
Spider
He's
tattoo.
got paralysis of the left hand,
Yeah, you should. Oh, he's dead, doesn't it? But you should put
tattoo of
that.
a spider.
You should put paralysis of the left hand
Yeah.
as well, because it might come up.
How do you spell that?
Put,
Pala.
Pala.
Power do.
Pala.
P-A-R-A.
yeah, is it just
Oh.
Of left hand.
so you mean
What hand's the tattoo? Left or right?
what hands is tattoo? Let's say.
It's the right wrist,
Mm.
above the right wrist.
Okay. Is there anything else worth mentioning in there? I think?
Not really, but they've got no
I mean,
no
you can,
dates for his
you
date
can
of
al-
death, place of
you
death.
can
or
you
cause
can
of
access this any time you like. So you can,
Yeah.
it's always going to be there now. Okay.
death. War crimes.
Mm.
Yeah.
I must do something wrong. I just cannot get it to.
Capital K, capital
No
B.
place
Yeah.
of birth.
Well, no, he's
No.
born in Munich,
Oh.
Oh, there's no T
but
in
there's
it.
no date of death, place of death,
Oh.
and there's no cause of death.
Right.
So we haven't got a clue what happened to him.
That's weird. They put
Just put no
they put a
cause.
T there, and they haven't put
Okay.
a T in the name.
No, they're not.
No.
All right. Must be a mistake. It's a typo in the book. You got it up now?
What else?
Did you
Got-
want to look up the files of the
Yeah,
other one?
I've got
Owen?
it up.
Hey, what, Rupert Owens?
Mm.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing then, but it's capital R, capital O for Rupert Owens. So what will happen is when we take one of these case cards, you have, once we decided we want to go there, it will give us a time limit where we have to go and the time that it takes to carry out the action on the card. And these two are more time consuming than these two. All right. But once we've pulled the card out, we have to. You can't say, "Oh, it's going to take 5
Do I
hours
need to do
to
a
do.
separate one for him?
Yeah, I think it'd be an idea, don't you?
What's his name? Rupert
Rupert
Owens.
Owens, there he is.
He's a pretty young fellow.
Born in 1959, Richmond, USA.
Looks remarkably similar to Kurt Blutholz.
Blue eyes, hair dark, 5'5".
Do I need to put that down? Or not?
Rupert James Owens.
Don't know, but he's on the database, isn't he? I suppose.
He's got a criminal record.
Hmm.
He was arrested in 1979 for possession of illegal drugs, served 6 months in prison. Arrested in 1986 for drug dealing, 2 years in prison. Arrested 2011 for indecent exposure and breach of peace. Sentenced to a fine and community service. Arrested 2012 for causing a traffic accident while driving under the influence, damaging public property. 3 months of community service, fined $2,000 and directed to a mandatory treatment for drug and alcohol addiction. It doesn't say anything about causing a death though, does it?
No.
And then it's just got known connections, father and mother.
Yep.
Mother Lily Garrett, father Marcus Owens. Now
Let's
his
put that down,
shoe
isn't it?
size might be important, I don't
What's
know.
his mum's name?
Mother's name is Lily Garrett.
Garrett.
And father's Marcus Owens. Now whether that's
Never know.
And his shoe size is 8.5/42, because that'll probably come up somewhere.
The 8.5.
in case he's found a shoe print
Four.
or something.
40 is the European size, isn't it?
42.
I see they both got different surnames for his parents.
So there's obviously a connection between Blue Toltz and Owens, isn't there? Because he nicked the watch and then Owens sold it for $5,000. Right. So we've got. Is there any further leads at the bottom?
Not really. Only the additional data is his mother and father, his weight and his shoe size.
Yeah, you can known connections. Marcus Owens and Lily.
Just his mum
Well, I
and
could
dad.
press that.
I don't know. I guess so. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Marcus Owens. Oh, he looks a bit. There he is. That's his father.
He looks a bit dodgy, doesn't
He
he?
looks a bit dodgy. He died at the correction centre in America, James River Correction Centre. Blood type ORH, whatever that means. He was 38 when he died.
It's negative, isn't it? 38. It's a bit older than that.
Well, it's got here, he died 1968, age 38.
Yeah.
A bit dodgy, isn't it? It looks about
Although
80.
he's got quite a criminal record as well.
Family of criminals.
Do you want to log into this?
No, that's right. Oh, God.
I'll look up Lily Garrett.
Yes.
Oh, it's ex-wife. She's gone back to her previous...
Yeah, look them up. I mean,
There's nothing about his ex-wife.
Nothing.
She's dead though. 45. Bloody hell. It's a hard life, isn't it?
Oh, hang on. What's it say here? He was resisting arrest, failed to arrest. Whilst in prison, he wanted to cooperate with the prosecutor's office. However, he was found dead before he could share any information.
Oh, right, okay. Who? Rupert Owens?
His dad, yeah.
Well, I've got to do a separate one for him as well.
Oh, but I don't know if that's
Or
it.
not?
No, just we can go back to that, can't
Should we go to the evidence storage and have a look in there?
Yep.
Or should we could interrogate Rupert Owens. I think he's in custody. Isn't he?
What? How he got hold of the?
We can interrogate him. Yeah, so it's up to you. I mean, we can interrogate the auction house owners. We can go to the evidence storage, or we can interrogate Rupert Owens.
Let's go to Rupert Owens.
We'll
come on.
interrogate him.
Yeah.
103.
There's no point going to the auction house, is it, if we don't know how we got hold of the thing?
No. Right.
Tell you what, I'll be good cop. Julie can be bad cop. Show us your bad cop face. It's a bit suspicious.
Right, headquarters, this takes an hour to do. Okay, so Antares Evidence Storage is a huge hangar back from when the police station was still located here. The police station was moved and the evidence storage stayed. The agency pumped a ton of money into it, added a second hall, automated it as much as was possible and rigged everything with the Antares computer system. You log into the system, enter the ID number, case number and verification code, then immediately go to the virtual evidence storage. There are 2 items attached to the case. In the picture next to the watch there is also a cigar box. The watch must have been... There are 2 items attached to the case. In the picture next to the watch...
Which picture?
Immediately go to the... There are 2 items attached to the case. In the picture next to the watch there is also a cigar box. The watch must have been kept inside it. Where did it come from? Interesting. It's time to collect both the items personally. The system informs you that you can collect both of them within 37 minutes from box 28 in section 2 of the magazine. You choose the SMS confirmation, and after a while you'll get a barcode to open the box. You log out of the system and quickly go to grab a bite at the Antares cafeteria, a Greek salad, coffee and a bottle of water. Right, so this is resolved, I think. So that goes there. Right, and we read number 121. Right, headquarters. Evidence. Opened men's pocket watch. Description. Case body with a 22 karat gold ornamentation, clear, poured and polished glass. A crack halfway from 2 o'clock, porcelain dial, broken mechanism, spring type, Swiss. Inscription on the lid, God, Honour and Homeland in Polish. Dimensions. Weight 3.3 ounces, 94 grams, diameter 2.5 inches. Estimated value $25,000. Mechanoscopic expertise, numerous scratches, a slight dent at the hinges. And this thing tells us to flip the card over. Right? Sometimes there may be something there, we have to spend some tokens to flip it, but this means we can flip it for free. Okay, so evidence at cigar box. Wooden box produced in 1940s by Duke de Crecy. Good condition in the middle. Cardboard insert lined with cotton. Apothecary. Dimensions 9.5 by 6 inches. Value $15. Mechanoscopic expertise. From the cotton wool and the corners of the box, a series of micro traces of dirt and dust particles have been collected. And if we want to, as a further lead, you can take the watch and the box to the laboratory to examine them and look out for fingerprints. So it's up to you what you want to do. I mean, that took an hour, didn't it, to do all that? So the options we got, we can interrogate Rupert Owens, interrogate the house owners. Still got loads of time before the funeral.
I think we should do Rupert.
Interrogate him. We can always
Yeah.
go to the lab later. So interrogate Rupert Owens at 108.
Where is he?
He's in the headquarters.
Oh, we're there still.
108. 108. Right, takes 3 hours. Owens is already waiting outside the conference room. He refuses to start the interrogation without his lawyer present. The lawyer arrives late and gives you the business card of the Weber and Son for some reason. You invite them inside. They both seem extremely agitated. You plug the laptop into the room's system and log into your account. You turn on the interrogation mode and the first of the screens that takes up the entire wall turns on. There are several pop-up windows, the largest of which is the stream from the camera, another is vibrating with audio amplitude, and the third one is full of text. You point at the screen. I inform you that our meeting is being recorded. Additionally, our system will provide a transcript of our meeting. You switch to the case screen and post the image from your laptop to the second screen. On the wall, magnified 100-fold, is Owen's police file and the mugshots from his arrest. You skip over a dozen documents on him, horrified. Horrified, Owen shrinks in his chair. Finally, a photo of the golden watch appears on the screen. Okay, you say, looking carefully at Owens, could you please explain how you found yourself in the possession of a watch that was stolen from Poland during World War II? Now we can, if we had one, actually, we should have taken whatever things we've got here.
Oh,
Got that, Julianne got one.
what does that mean then?
Well, it just means I could, to press Owens further, I could spend this token,
Right.
but I don't have to. But this you only get one.
Mm.
You want to do it?
Well, yeah, we need to know.
We'll press him further then, shall we? So I'll spend that. And we flip this card. It says the air conditioner hums. This is the only sound when Owens finally falls silent. He hangs his head as if the testimony has exhausted him utterly. Uncomfortable Heavy silence falls. Webber closes his briefcase, assuming that the interrogation has come to an end. You stop him with a hand gesture and you ask him to sit back down. The interrogation isn't over yet. That's all. Anything else you ask with a threat in your voice. You look Owen deep into his eyes and he looks away, turning to his lawyer, and finally says the final few words. This watch, my mother's pendant, there was more of it. All this was left at my father's pawn shop. Okay, who might know more? Maybe his lawyer knows something. He had such a funny name, Marcellus or something. You know, just like that fat guy from Pulp Fiction. And that Marcellus was fat too. He worked on my father's case back then. Maybe he knows something. But I don't know him. I never talked to him. Just remember that my mother mentioned him. It was a long time ago. He's probably dead anyway.
So that might account for why he wants to cooperate with the prosecutor's office. Just handling stolen goods.
Yeah.
It's got here.
There's another lead at the bottom there. Oh, I don't know. What was he saying?
Who?
Owens.
He was saying that it was at his father's pawn shop,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
the watch. So it was all to do with his father.
He died at the age of 38.
Yeah, that's what it says here.
His lawyer, we got to try and look up. Marcellus,
Yeah, but he said he'd never met him.
but he was fat.
What was the lead at the bottom there, Gav? What does it say? Further lead.
Information on Webber and Son, 120 headquarters.
I've got further leader. Get the incident data on the robbery.
What robbery?
Richmond PD, the robbery that he was going to speak to the prosecutor about.
Well,
So
we're
it's
almost,
up to you.
we're almost at the end of the day.
That's hash 105 Richmond PD.
I think we should do.
Well, I think we need to go to the pawn shop. Maybe.
Is there a lead for that?
Oh. No, the only one was information on Webber and Son. That's the only thing we can do. Oh, you can only do what's on the card?
Yeah, yeah.
Alright, so you can only go to the...
Do you want me to hit this?
Yeah.
Is it doing it? Well, it's not in green, so maybe it isn't. Get the incident data on the robbery. That.
Yeah, it's a card though.
It's a card.
number 105.
Right, okay. Well, maybe we ought to have a look at the robbery.
With the incident data.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me.
3 hours. So that's the end of the day. We can choose to take stress if we want to go bleed into the next day. Okay, so we'll go to the police department as well. So that's another hour.
Because if the watch was at his father's pawn shop, you need to find out what the criminal record was, really, don't we?
Right, so it says the rain starts to annoy you, but what irks you even more is that some stickler did not want to mail you the scans. You had to go all the way down to get them personally. You reach the precinct, enter the official entrance on the other side of the lobby, away from the hustle and bustle of the detainees. You pass the investigation room on the right, and turning next to the locker room and the showers, you reach the archive located at the end of the corridor. You flash your badge, fill out a request form, turn it in, and then sit in an old metal chair to wait. This part of the police station is quiet and peaceful. After a while, Susie's worried face appears at the window. Someone must have misplaced them. Please wait a moment, we're looking for them. You spend the next several minutes savouring the legendary Richmond PD vending machine coffee, known as the worst sludge. You know that if Susie is on the case, she will go the extra mile to find what you need. And you're not mistaken, in the end they find it. You have in your hands printed out scans of the full contents of the 67 folder. Read file at 105, so you want to go into the database and into the files. We add one of these tokens to the pool. Right, so you want to put at, it's file at 105. So just
What it
want to
says?
type in 105.
105,
Yeah.
okay.
and we can spend a file, one of these file tokens, if anyone's got one.
It says, look under the insert of your
Yeah.
detective game box. There you
Oh,
will
yeah.
find a couple of additional handouts.
We've looked at
Please
that.
open and read only the one titled File 1. It should enclose a case file and attachment with the plans of the building.
Oh.
So what does it say?
Worth doing then.
Only read File 1?
Yeah.
The building plans look like they're on the back there.
Choose to have a look.
I don't know.
Police report, eh? That's meant to be a nice surprise. I looked under there anyway, so I thought, it's going to be something under the box, and it was.
What is this?
So what is that? Police report? What's this say?
That's what Gavin's got on
Right.
there.
Read file.
Did you have the same?
Yeah. File 105.
What we got?
So there's two suspects, Henry Gills.
So it says this, compare, you could spend one of these file tokens to compare the scans with the original. So, I mean...
One of these
would
what
that-
tokens?
One of these file tokens, we haven't got any.
Yeah.
So, but, I mean, if we did, would that mean that there might be some sort of discrepancy between their authenticity? That's what we got in the police
Does
report.
this go away again, does it?
You keep it there.
Oh, right. Don't wait
so-
anything.
The officer was Sergeant Michael Slater.
Mm.
The suspects were Henry Gills and Marcus Owen, and the victim was Horatio Dawson, a florist and flower shop owner.
What's the name of the policeman you got run over?
Michael Slater.
There you go then. It's the same one.
Yeah.
So there's obviously something going on there.
Right, so they went to an address in Richmond. A disorderly conduct call? What does that mean?
Probably
Fighting,
breach of
rowing.
peace sort of thing.
Yeah.
The policeman approached the porch and noticed the door was open. Blah, blah, blah. There was no response from his call. Upon entering at the foot of the stair, they found the body of a tall, well-built man who was later identified as Horatio Dawson. The body lay face down with both legs remaining partially on the stairs. So he probably got pushed downstairs, maybe? The policeman confirmed lack of vitals, backup units. The coroner confirmed the death. Physical evidence available at the Richmond PD Evidential magazine. Both the residents had signs. There were signs of a burglary. The glazed glass door in the kitchen leading to the kitchen was open. The lock was broken. There was broken vases, books from the shelves scattered on the floor, and opened cabinet doors. So they're obviously looking for something. Doors to the flower shop were found open with pots scattered on the floor and boxes torn apart. In the office, papers were scattered across the floor. Broken drink. They didn't find any fingerprints. A footprint, shoe size 11, was found in the dirt.
We haven't got anybody with this shoe
No,
size.
because
of
a
11,
red-
have we?
A red pot was broken and they had dirt size 11. So we have to wait for that one at some
It's a
point.
large foot.
Yeah, isn't it?
Quitty.
Must have been
that
quite
Who was that?
What?
Size 11.
Size 11.
Oh, there's a footprint.
It's just a footprint. The desk was approximately 12 inches tall. Parallels. The front edge of the desk had been dented. Traces of type A blood were discovered. Someone tried to wipe and clean, so type A blood. On the desk there was a typewriter, piece of paper loaded. The open drawer contained old 9x19mm parabellum cartridges.
19 millimetres.
What's-
It's a gun.
Oh, gun. And there's a little symbol.
Well, it's like a Wi-Fi symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that means you can look on the internet for that underlined.
Oh, see what that is. Okay.
So you're doing the internet, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or someone else read that then.
So, do
Want to read it?
you think that was where the watch was stolen from?
I don't know.
It sounds like a flower shop, doesn't it? Not a pawnbroker's. Is that right? Is it a flower
No.
shop or a pawnbroker? Does it say what it is? Is that a flat with flowers?
No. So I'll read it.
What was the name of the victim?
Horatio Dawson.
Florist and flower shop owner.
Oh, right, there you go. Shall I look for Horatio Dawson?
No, you can only do it if it's got at.
Oh, okay, it's not got it.
No.
Okay.
So you've got evidence signatures there. It says fingerprint tracers from the kitchen cabinets, drawers and glazed glass. So you want to go into signatures, and you've got SD, and you want to type in JDER25.
Which one? Signature or description?
Signature.
Right. What, J?
JDER25.
D. ER 25
Hyphen. JAM.
JAM.
Yep.
Yep.
STY.
STY.
Right, and you can
JDER 25 hyphen Jamsty.
yeah, but your description is you just put in something that reminds you of what it is. So
Flower.
fingerprint traces from the
Oh.
kitchen. From the kitchen.
So put kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah? Shall I go now?
Yeah.
Right, the 990mm Parabellum is for a Luger semi-automatic pistol. It's a German pistol.
Okay. What you got there?
Well, all we've got is what it is. I think what you've got to do is put another one in to match it.
What's that green thing say?
Luger
Date
is
it.
L-U-G-E-R.
Corset Henry Giles' name. Shall I?
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
L-U-G-E-R.
Or is Henry Giles?
Okay. Right. So we got match
Yeah.
with the
19 mil.
fingerprints there.
Yes. 9 times 19.
It's Henry Giles. This is the one who died in the shop, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is a fingerprint match for the on the kitchen cabinets, drawers and glazed living room cabinets and all that. So there's a match there. Henry Giles.
Right.
He was 30 when he died.
He's a minor pickpocket, so he's a suspect.
So his blood type is ARH.
Blood type was A, wasn't it?
And he died in a shootout with the police. Identifying marks, a burn scar on the cheek. Got a criminal record. Shoe size 11. Petty theft, assault, larceny, etc. And then he died in exchange as being an accomplice to a robbery. He died during his arrest on the suspicion of being an accomplice to a body's been cremated. Get the incident data on the robbery on file 105, which we've done that one, haven't we?
105. Yeah.
Richmond PD.
So you got fingerprint traces from the 3.3 brass ashtray. It's incomplete, so you have to type in that in the files bit. Signatures.
This one.
Yeah.
XX.
No, this one now.
SD.
Y, no, don't put SD.
XX.
No. YUXXX6.
Oh, that one. The top one.
Yeah.
So that's a capital, isn't it?
Doesn't matter.
YU XXX6 J Jamsty again.
No, it's not. It's BHU.
Oh, sorry. Keep looking up there.
Hyphen.
I've got the hyphen. BHU XX5. Okay, put in, where's this one?
Ashtray.
Ashtray. What's it doing?
Yeah, the gun was found anyway in his car.
A-S-T-O.
All right.
A P08 Fluger.
Car.
Yeah, so he did use it anyway. He tried to rob the safe whilst holding the
Right, can you match it?
Dawson hostage, and there was a struggle and he pushed him down the stairs. He searched the house chaotically, and then when he had the patrol come in, he buggered off. And then he was later shot when they tried to arrest him.
Yeah, so it's a partial match.
Mm.
There's nothing there.
Say cat.
So if you do these, the material signature, the dirt from a ceramic pot containing a footprint. So, I mean, we're at the end of the day, we've got one stress, but our stress limit's 7. Should we just go on to the next day?
Yeah.
So you can just carry on doing that.
Yeah.
Reset the time, move the thing back to the headquarters. Sort notes and discuss what you learned that day. Write down all possible leads to keep track of what's available to you. Right, so what have we learned? Not a lot.
Not a lot, really.
So, I mean, is there any links between Butthole and
Butthole?
Blutholt and anyone else? Huh?
Not at the moment.
No.
We haven't got anywhere really, have we? So
No.
I think. Well, I want to try. Well, obviously we were going to try to find this Marcellus guy
Yeah.
because he was a lawyer.
So, what are our leads?
What?
You can take the Watson. We've done that, haven't we? Further leads headquarters. We do that? I can't remember.
Well, his accomplice is dead.
Hmm.
Well, not the problem is we've snuffed it already, haven't we? Oh no. What's his name still alive? Marcus.
Owens, yeah. Is it Rupert Owens or something?
Rupert Owens is still alive. But we've exhausted that.
Yeah, that's further leads here, look. Evidence related to the case. Richmond PD 106. Horatio Dawson's autopsy report. Consultant of forensic psychologist. Go to Horatio Dawson's grave.
Why?
You can have a look at the investigating officer, Michael Slater.
I would say Michael Slater would be better.
He's alive
What?
though.
Look him up.
Dawson.
Michael
He's
Slater.
alive though, isn't he? Dawson.
Horatio Dawson.
Yeah, he's alive.
No,
He's
he
a
was.
victim.
No, he was the victim. He's dead.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
dead.
is he dead?
He's dead.
Yeah, you can go to his grave.
Dead then.
You want to go to Horatio Dawson's grave?
Seems a bit.
So that's what I mean. It seems a bit.
Michael's. Yeah, there's no point. Michael Slater would be the one, I think.
Yeah. That would be on here then.
I'm looking him up.
So it's
Who's Michael
capital M,
Slater?
capital S.
Who's Michael Slater?
Michael Slater.
Hmm.
He was the investigating officer.
He's dead, don't he?
No, he didn't say he was dead.
Yeah, he got run over, didn't he? Is that the one?
Yeah, did he die in a...
It's his
Shoot
funeral, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, hit and run.
Oh, he was a hit and run. Oh, that's a bit suspicious, isn't it? I think we're getting somewhere, apart from there's no one to bloody interrogate because they're all dead.
If you go, Gav, if you go to his personal files, and
I have.
look,
Who's this Michael Slater?
Something's loading on the
Well, he is.
X-ray.
Funnily enough, he is shoe size 11.
all right.
What, Slater?
Yeah. No, it doesn't. Yeah, no, it doesn't say much. No, he's not dead.
Who's the one who died? Hit and run. What's his name? KB? No.
Okay, Blutholtz.
No, Michael Slater's not dead. Not according to this.
Who are we investigating?
Who died on the hit and run?
It wasn't Michael Slater because he's still alive. And he's got shoe size 11. It wasn't Michael Slater.
So who got hit and run then?
Not Rupert Owens.
Hit and run. Well, you have to find him out. He's at the beginning somewhere. Back here.
Michael Slater's funeral will take place. He's dead.
Well, this is in
Is
date.
that him, Michael Slater?
Yeah, Michael Slater.
The only thing it's downloading partly is Horatio Dawson's fingerprints.
Yeah, that's only
Is that who
partially
we're
incomplete.
Yeah.
That's all.
Investigating.
So
Well,
there's not a lot we can do about that at the moment.
If you look up Michael Slater,
Is that who we're investigating?
who?
Michael Slater.
We're trying to.
Oh, right.
What's his blood type? His blood type's O.
What we're trying to do is investigate the events leading up to the watch from Poland ending up in the Ying auction house. We need to discover all the stages and find evidence to confirm them.
Right, there's nothing on his wife.
Could always go to the auction house.
That's a bit suspect, isn't it?
What?
His wife's been a bit quiet. So there's nothing on her.
Well, there's nothing. Yeah.
Should we interrogate the auction house?
Yeah, go on. Let's go there.
See what happens.
There's Michael Slater.
Right.
Oh, gee.
We can always go to his funeral tomorrow, can't we?
Yeah, see who's there. Hey,
So
hey.
what are we doing now?
We're going to the auction house.
Field work. One,
Identifying mark.
1, 2, 3.
Limited mobility due to a screwdriver injury in the line of duty. Blood type O.
Right, the auction house is relatively close, although the radio has announced that all of Richmond is completely congested and you managed to avoid the traffic jams. The office is located in an old building. Once there, you find an elderly couple. They've been married for 50 years and in the same business the whole time. Mrs. Ying offers you cookies while Mr. Ying pours everyone a shot of brandy. They both came here from China as kids and earned everything they have on their own. Mr. Ying testifies that they offered Owens much more for the watch, provided that he would give them some time to get an expert opinion and find funds. The seller was not interested. He wanted the money right away in cash. They gave him everything they had on hand. They notified the police themselves when they discovered what they had come across. And we can spend one of these tokens to press them further, but
We haven't got any.
no,
So we can't.
no.
Yeah. Don't we get these back?
Well, I've got one here that
That you get. We
I
get one.
can
You can do it
spend-
once a day. Yeah, you said you can do one a day.
spend
a
one
star.
star, an
No.
appropriate skill token from the token pool to dig deeper on a lead card.
Yeah, we don't have one.
Oh, right, okay. I've got additional data here on the wife of Michael Slater.
All right,
She was witness in a homicide case.
okay. How do we get extra tokens in?
No, I thought you said you could spend one. Maybe you
Well,
get. 'em-
spend one star from the token pool to change one skill token of any type from the pool into one token.
Yeah, we don't have any though.
What, no stars?
We've got these.
Oh, we can. What's your special ability do?
Me. Oh,
Whose?
Yours.
Spend one star from the token pool to change one skill token
All right.
of any type from the pool into one token.
So you want to do that? Then we can press them further.
yeah.
So we do that then. So we got one of those. Right, but that means your ability is used this round. Right, and it says they've been running the business for so many years that they have to know something. They just bought a precious gold watch from a street bum. Only after they got scared, did they report it. Didn't seem suspicious from the start. You point out to them that the story has some holes. They wanted easy money and then started thinking post factum. After a while, Mrs. Ying admits that that's exactly how it was and regrets his decision on the purchase. From the beginning, he suspected that Owens had stolen the watch. In his defence, Ying says, someone from the local press visited them sniffing around the story, probably some journalist that got tipped off by someone from the precinct where they had reported the case. But for the sake of the investigation, Ying did not want to talk to him. Delaware was right. In the end, the case will come to light, but you still have to be careful about who knows what. You make them promise that they will not speak to the press, so that at least one way will the scandal... Oh, this is nothing. It's nothing. Yeah, don't know anything.
Well, what about the lab? We haven't gone there yet.
Consulting a forensic psychologist, or Horatio Dawson's grave, or evidence related to the case of this murder, or whatever it is.
What about the psychologist then?
It's up to you. What do you want to do? Just bearing in mind, like, we've got 4 days to do this.
I would go to the psychologist because what else? We've got no other leads, have we?
We'll take the watch to the box with look for fingerprints in the lab. We've done that, haven't we? Have we done? We haven't done that.
102? No. Is that 102, does that say?
Yeah. I mean, you could do that if you wanted.
So Dawson took out all his money on the eve of his death.
Go to his grave.
Hmm.
Horatio Dawson's autopsy report.
Hmm. So
What
what
was
did he
it?
want all that money for?
I can't see the point in going to his grave.
That's what I mean.
What?
Footprints found on him.
Sort of the fact that it seems pointless might mean that there might be something there.
Well, why don't we do something else? Do that if we have to.
Yeah.
Footprint was found 5.5 inches above the floor. What's that? On the office door frame.
Try to kick it.
I don't know, it sounds like a struggle, doesn't it?
And blood traces were found on a corridor floor 19 inches from the entrance door frame. So it started outside then, or he was being chased out. Blood trailed the railing of the stairs. Oh, this is where he fell down the stairs. A piece of the rail was broken off at a 10-degree angle on the west side of the stairs. So it was broken off. He was pushed. Well, there was a fight against it, wasn't it?
Well,
Blood traces were found on the 6th, 10th and 12th step. Type A blood.
Michael Slater was type O blood,
Mm.
so even though he's got size 11
Yeah, he's O,
boots,
isn't
doesn't
he?
necessarily mean it was in.
Plus, it says here he had a limited knee mobility, so his movement wouldn't be that great, would it? If he had a
It's getting
screwdriver
fried.
shoved in his kneecaps when he was working. So, yeah. But his wife
Shut
was a
up.
witness to a homicide,
Right.
so, but there's nothing more on that.
Known connections. Is that? That's his wife.
That's his wife. Look,
Can
it's
we
an
investigate
homicide
that?
case.
Can we
And
not?
there's a case file,
No, it only leads to. We can't investigate
but
that,
there's
can we?
nothing else on there.
So it's the lab.
You've got.
So what have we got then?
We've done the auction. Go to evidence storage. We've done that. So we could go to his grave. We can consult a forensic psychologist, look at the autopsy report or the evidence related to the case. Have you done Henry Giles yet?
Henry who?
Henry Giles. Have you done these? Look at the names.
No, I haven't done these.
Should we?
So it's Henry Giles, right?
Henry Giles.
What should we do?
Well, we could look at the evidence.
Isn't it best to look at forensics?
We'll go to the evidence.
Yeah, we should go to the evidence, I think.
Okay. Evidence related to the case. Richmond PD. That's going to take us an hour.
It says forensics now.
Don't know. Hang on.
No.
Evidence related to the case 106. 3 hours.
Oh,
Oh, I've done Henry Giles. Done that one already.
okay. So it says you passed 3 cops who are talking about some suspect being on the move. Somebody saw him a few blocks from here. They cover their heads with their jackets and run out into the rain. In front of you, at the end of the corridor, you see a ruckus in the lobby. A couple of policemen are struggling with a tattooed jock. You turn left, past the locker room and showers, and reach the evidence storage which share space with the archives. You fill out the application manually, sign 4 consecutive forms, and hand everything to Susie, who takes the forms and winks at you.
good old Susie.
You brace yourself for several dozen minutes of waiting with a cup of nasty coffee in one hand and a phone in the other. You sit in one of the dozen or so wire chairs which stand along the wall. You have time to read on the internet about military operations during World War II. Finally, they call out your name. The archive employee brings you a dusty cardboard box. Inside you find a couple of items, torn scraps of typewritten paper secured in a paper envelope labelled "Send to Lab 072467". Over the writing there's a stamp reading "Examination cancelled. Read 1 to 8129 and 135. We can spend an investigation token like one of these to make sure that's all the evidence. You can use Julia's ability again because it's a new day.
Yeah, we're running out of time, aren't we?
Okay.
One of them?
Yeah. 1 to 8. Okay.
Who's that?
Description: photo found in shattered frame on the floor next to the desk in Horatio Dawson's office. And there's that as well. Oh, look. 1 to 8. 1 to 9.
Not his bit on the side, is it?
I don't know.
Right, evidence: there's a bullet.
In the
Brass ashtray weighs approximately 3.3 pounds, which is what?
Mushers.
Description: a pendant which supports Marcus Owens, bought at the pawn shop from Horatio Dawson. Owens later gave this to his wife Lily.
Can I have a
Owens.
look at that other one? Thanks.
Oh, sorry.
1, 2,
And-
So this is a group of army pals then.
yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it?
So do you think they looks too modern to be when they're in Germany, but it could be in the Second World War, I suppose.
That's resolved. Unresolved. Unresolved. It's resolved. Right. So here we've got a Owens pawn shop certificate, and here it says verify the authenticity of the bill. But we need one of those tokens, so that's unresolved. Can't look at the other side of that. Okay.
Why is she dressed like that?
Don't know. Looks like she's just come out of the shower.
It looks as though she's in hospital.
Okay, so we're going to spend that token. We're going to spend that token to verify that, or to make sure that's all the evidence available. What do you think?
What is it? Can I have a look?
No,
Have a go outside.
Oh.
You can't look on the other
I'm
side.
not going to.
Yeah. Oh look, a consultant gives us 2 of these. You see. Forgot about that.
When do I get to spend this then?
Whenever you want to.
Well, what is it?
It's just a skill token.
But we have to wait till that still token comes up.
Yeah.
It hasn't come up yet.
Skills. Oh, yeah. That's it, they don't refresh at the end of the day, skill tokens. But
Oh.
you can write a report for one of these, takes an hour to do that.
Right,
So-
so look at the other side of that, and what was the other
Are
bit?
we going to do that, or are we going to do this?
What was that one?
Make sure that's all the evidence that's available, or we can verify the authenticity of the pawn shop. But we were going to go, wanted to find about the pawn shop, because that's where they were. They seemed a bit shady, didn't they?
I'll do that one then.
This one,
Do that one? Or do you want to do that one? What's more important?
I don't know. Let's come to a consensus. Who thinks we should make sure that that's all the evidence available? Are we going to take that as real?
Best to make
No,
sure that's
data
all
on
the
Dawson.
evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just type any old thing in there. You can only do it if you're told to do it.
I just didn't know whether there was, because there's a whole list here of ones that we've done.
Yeah,
Well,
you can't just type any old name in there. You know what I mean?
No, I was doing it because I wasn't sure that they were
Yeah.
be on the
Right,
list.
let's have a vote. I vote we see this all the evidence.
Yep.
All the evidence, right. So we're going to be spent that token, aren't we? The contents of the box surprised you. The evidence is very poor, even for the time in which it was assembled. You know exactly how the evidence material collected at the crime scene should look. Every clue, every piece of paper, cigarette butt, hair, dozens of the smallest details should be taken into account. Instead, there are 3 measly items thrown into an old cardboard box. What a joke. It would be good to do something about it, but there isn't that much time, and it would require Delaware to let you go through both the evidence and the archives. That would delay the investigation. The procedural errors in the case of Dawson's murder have little to do with the mystery of the Polish watch. You bring it up to Delaware when you return. You'll bring it up to Delaware when you'll return to Antares. You have an impression bordering on certainty that something is not quite right here. You'll gladly find out what it is. Add plot card 124 to case 2. So what we've got to do is take 124 out, stick it in an evidence bag, and put it in case 2 for later. That will come up as evidence later on. We'll resolve that one. So we've still got examine the paper shreds, card in the lab, historical consultation on evidence material in the headquarters. So these are unresolved, aren't they?
I think it's the one on the inside.
There's something dodgy about Michael Slater, that's for sure.
So
But he's dead.
are we going to do overtime or not? Because it could be dodgy.
How many do we need? 7?
Yeah.
Well, what do we want to go and investigate next, and how much is it going to cost
I
us?
don't know. Should we go? We'll start the next day, and this is where there's that funeral that we can go to, right? Michael Slater's funeral. What was this one? I can't remember. What was on day 4? Oh, that's the end of the thing, isn't it? So we've got 2 more days.
Right.
Are we any closer to? No, are we? I don't even know what's happening.
Well, unfortunately, everybody's dead. The evidence is
But
poor.
the pawn shop was a dead end, wasn't it?
Wow.
Auction house was a dead end.
Yeah. So. Yeah,
What
so
about the psychic analysis woman?
the forensic psychologist?
Yes.
Want to do that?
Well, we haven't.
I'm going to say psychic now, so they.
Well, what else? We're running out of options, aren't we? So.
Yeah.
What's the unshredded paper thing then?
Examine the paper shreds in the lab.
Yeah, that might be worth doing.
Historical consultation on evidence. Or we got information on Webber and Son in the headquarters, which is that bloke's lawyer.
Yeah. And
Dodgy
Webber,
geezer.
is it, how do you spell it?
Triple R. Webber.
Is it
Do you think this is real?
W-E-B-E-R?
Well, maybe. But what if it's not? What's
Well, it's a waste of a token, isn't it?
How do you spell it?
What?
Webber.
double R?
Yeah.
W-E-B-B.
Webberr.
Sounds German.
There's a German connection.
Well, we can always do the.
Well, that gun
Should we
found
go to Michael Slater's funeral?
Germany.
Yeah, it's made in German.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go to his funeral. Yeah.
We'll
I
start.
think the paper
If you
shreds
decide to
might be
attend the funeral, we
helpful.
start that day in the Richmond PD. So.
They did advise to go, didn't they,
Yeah.
right at the beginning? So
Yeah.
you ought to do that.
For 2 hours. You arrive at the Richmond PD. In the parking lot, there are over 20 policemen and women wearing formal uniforms with umbrellas in their hands. And in the next few minutes, even more cars arrive, until finally everyone gets into the cars and the procession heads to the cemetery. The grim weather and the nasty drizzle are fitting backdrop to the ceremony. You park at a distance and stand in the back watching in solemn silence. After it's finished, you talk to several policemen jumping from topic to topic. The investigation of Slater's hit and run has slumped. The late Slater's wife is a tough woman. After all, she has been the wife of a police investigator all her life. Slater was retired for 30 years, but he often stopped by the precinct. In the end, the weather forces everyone to flee back to their cars. If you want to talk about his old investigations and cases, come to the station, says your old pal Tarkovsky. It's dry there, we have donuts and coffee, and a few of Slater's old friends will be there. Place the IT marker on the fieldwork location.
So did he fall down the stairs before he got hit and run then?
No.
It's
Blood on the
Horatio
stairs.
No,
Dawson.
Horatio
He
Dawson
died
got
on
killed,
the
but we're
stairs.
not entirely sure it was
So we can
killed him.
we can
But
spend
Slater was there.
we can spend one of these
Oh, right.
to talk with the widow, or we can visit the police
You
station.
don't think Slater did it and then he went to run off and got hit and run?
His blood type was different,
Mm.
so it probably wasn't him.
So do you want to? I mean, you could talk with the
So his
widow.
wife was with a police officer.
Mm.
Well, it might be worth
Lily.
talking to the wife because she was witness to a homicide as
Homicide.
well.
Mm.
Yeah,
So you're going to have to spend one of these and
Oh.
use your
Is that
ability.
Lily thing, lady?
yeah.
Right.
Garrett.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
I told you
that's-
to investigate
Okay.
it.
Standing under a tree, away from the crowd, you think about Michael Slater. The crowd at the
Christine
funeral
Slater.
proves that he was
Oh,
a good
Christine
cop.
Slater.
Even though he was retired for quite some time, he was still in touch with his precinct. The ceremony is brief but a bit pompous, as befits a cop's funeral. After the funeral, you follow the widow's car. Along the way, you consider that you should disturb her right after the funeral. When you finally drive up to her house, you decide against it. You will come back. You note the address. Perhaps there are some notes about Slater's case in the house. With this in mind, you leave to grab your quick brunch. And it says, if you decide to disturb the widow, then we can do some more field work.
Mm.
That
We're
will-
there
I don't know-
anyway,
I don't know how much that will cost us.
I think we'll have to look at those paper shreds.
Well, we're already in the field work space,
Oh,
so
I
it'll cost
see,
us
yeah.
one less hour.
Oh, okay.
It's up to you.
Yeah, gone.
So that's resolved, isn't it? 104.
It's just a paper shredding now.
That's 104. isn't it? Yeah. Right, three hours. Right, the entire city is congested. The light drizzle finally turns into a downpour, and all of the streets came to a halt. You wasted an additional half hour in traffic, but you finally arrive. You wait in the car for a few minutes while watching the house, wondering if you really want to go in there and bother Mrs. Slater. You muster up the courage and you run to the house, jumping over puddles, and knock on the door. A young blonde woman with a nice smile opens the door. Yes, what can I help you with? Good morning, can I talk to Mrs. Christine Slater? I'm acting under the authority of the FBI, you say, showing your ID card. This is not the best time. I'm sorry, I realise that. But who do I have the pleasure of speaking with? Linda Evans, Aunt Christie, is my grandmother's sister. I live here because I study history at the university. Please come in. Aunt Christine is upstairs. She's lying down because the doctor recommended rest. Please wait a moment, I will go and get her. You stay in the room. Mrs. Slater just buried her husband, and now you are standing in the living room, ready to further spoil her day with questions about the former affairs of her husband. Read questioning at 104 and add 1 stress to the token board.
I should write this
So I
down.
put in 104.
Yeah. And add card 133 to case 2.
Is Christine Slater questioning?
This is question, what was it, 104?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so what does it say?
Who's reading it? You or
You.
me? Me?
No, you read it.
Okay. It took about half an hour before the old lady came downstairs. Her niece led her gently. She was walking slowly with a small wooden cane in her hand. She sat heavily in the armchair. Her eyes were red and swollen, and she was breathing heavily. How may I help you? My husband's friends have been talking to me already, but the FBI... I'm listening, she said in a quiet, tart voice. Mrs. Slater, please accept our condolences. We are here because a while ago your husband was investigating a case that overlaps our own. Do you perhaps know if Mr. Slater had any notes from the old days? It was a really long time ago. Christine Slater nodded her head. Of course, it piled up through the years. My husband always liked to keep things organised. He kept his documents neat. He usually wrote down just single words, head words. He had a great memory and used to say this was the only to jog it. A bit funny, I know, but that was the way Michael was. He kept the notes in the storage room under the stairs. She got up and opened a small door to the cabinet under the stairs. There on the shelf were boxes containing chronologically arranged notes. That's it, they're really well organised. On one of the boxes there was a small grey file with 67 Dawson written across it. It has been taken out of its place. Inside there are papers and photographs. You start checking them out to see if there is anything connected to the case. Thank you, ma'am. Please accept our condolences. I think this is everything we need. Have a look at Slater's material. Read 132, 127, 130. Add 1 star to the token pool. So that was worth going there, wasn't it?
Yes.
You want to have a look at Slater's material?
Yeah, 132.
Okay. See workbooks, no diaries.
What's that?
And then
You
names.
have to pass it round in a minute, won't you?
What was it?
Then 127.
Right. 1989 Doctor, who was it? Sorry, I'm lost. I have no idea what's happening with this.
And 130.
I have no idea. It's just gone completely out of my head.
This is in the files of the police chief who was run over
Right. So we were talking. This is an interview with his
widow.
His widow.
And his widow gave him a box.
But what are we trying to do?
Because he was at the scene of the death of Horatio Dawson.
Who's that?
He was an
That's the
investigator.
florist who found out, who was
Yeah, but
found on the stairs.
Who's that?
Michael Slater.
Michael
Yeah, I know
Slater.
Michael Slater is. He's the cop who got done
He
by
was the
his mum.
investigating
Yeah,
officer.
he was there.
And who's Horatio Dawson?
The one who was on the stairs, the florist.
Who is that?
Well, we don't know because there's no file on him.
How is he related to the watch?
Well, this is what we've got to find out.
Well, he killed this geezer.
We don't know. I mean, that's why we're
What's
looking at
Horatio
this stuff.
Dawson got to do with anything?
We don't know yet.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm asking you. How does he? What's the relevance of him?
I don't know because
Why are you mentioning him then?
because it's got on here.
Hey?
Where was it?
I don't.
Oh, I saw the word Dawson. Where was it?
I've no idea what's happening. Ask about what are these? What is this?
This is out of the. He went to see his Michael
Yeah.
Slater's widow,
Yeah.
and he had some boxes
Of
Yeah.
of the investigation, and he used to write notes on them.
And the file has got 67
There should be one
Dawson
more.
written on the file.
There should be one more. 127.
what's the
So
other one?
it's- he's got the file
130.
with 67 Dawson written on the file.
Yeah.
So he's obviously looking into this Dawson for some reason.
Who's Slater?
Yes. So that's what we've got to find out.
The problem with this game is that if one person loses the thread, that's it. It's
Well,
over.
We just got to keep going, haven't you? I mean, I haven't seen the pictures yet, but
Top order to close the case. Marcus plus date. I still don't really know what we're trying to do. Saying you need to piece together the events, but it's like, well, don't know. Don't know. It just seems like a bit of a garbled mess, doesn't it?
Well, we investigated the. We were following up the original suspect who sold the watch, weren't we?
Mm.
And we looked up his case file, and he was involved in Horatio Dawson being killed.
It's just so difficult to remember who's doing what and where and.
oh, so Dawson was part of that crew there. Then
Well,
you've
that's
got
the same as that.
yeah. So he was part of a group there. So I'm wondering if Dawson got the watch because he was in Germany.
Photo found in Horatio Dawson's safe.
Nick Torn. Is that Coxon?
Yeah, Horatio Nelson. Horatio, what's his name?
And somebody who doesn't know who that is.
Horatio Dawson was
Mm.
probably the guy who brought the watch over, possibly.
I
Yes, please. What's the time?
Lily Garrett is lying.
Clock.
No, better not.
No?
No.
So we want.
You can only put stuff in there if it's
No,
got at.
I'm not putting it in. I'm just looking up Lily Garrett again. Lily Garrett. She died of diabetes. And it says Lily Garrett is lying.
About what? Who is she?
She's the wife of. Well, she's
The grandmother.
the wife of Rupert Owens, the mother of Marcus Owens.
Right. God, I don't know. I don't know if this is more difficult than those escape room things.
Gets your brain going. Where are Dawson's diaries? He came in the back, went out front.
So Kurt Blunthauser
Giles is
might not
dead.
be in America.
Let's have a look.
That chap might, the other guy might have brought it from over from Germany.
So Giles is dead. Marcus is caught. The top ordered to close the case. Anna picture. So maybe that's who that person is
In the picture.
in that picture.
Yeah,
Somebody
probably.
called Anna.
Anna who?
Don't know. She's got Anna.
Oh look, I can use one of these to remove the spend token from Julie's card.
Mm.
And then, yeah. Well, I think we should move on. Some.
Right, so we did the funeral, we went to visit the
Yeah. Question Linda Evans. Did we do that?
Who's Bookman?
Linda Evans.
No, we
Brown.
didn't.
Brown Bookman.
We're in the field work, so we might as well do that, haven't we?
So
What have we got to spend?
One of those tokens.
Which
So
one?
I'd have to spend one of these to remove that, and then we'd have to spend another one. Should we do it?
Yeah,
Just
go on.
this question. Right, so it says you take out Dawson's files from the Slater's folder. You can guess from Mrs. Evans' reaction that this isn't the first time she's seeing them. You quickly ask about that. She reaches for a cup of coffee from a small white table. Thoughtfully, she says, I think my uncle was probably bored because he asked me to find this file. He said he wanted to check something. Sergeant Slater asked specifically about this file, Dawson's case from 67. Yes, he said. He remembered. Yes, he said he remembered something. Please tell me more. What exactly did he say? He was very upset. He said that these people are like ghosts. Sorry? Linda looks embarrassed. He mentioned something about ghosts haunting him every 10 years, that they were coming from another world. That surprised me because my uncle was a very reasonable and down-to-earth man. He did not believe in such things as ghosts. He didn't say anything more. He mentioned that his superiors closed the case before he had a chance to properly tackle it. I think it bothered him. He tried to remember something, and maybe that's why he asked for these files, that's all. I understand, thank you. Please accept my condolences. We will not bother you again bother you again. You add casually. That's what they taught you in psychology courses.
So it says in here that the top ordered the case to be closed. So he wants to know where Dawson's diaries are.
Yeah.
Marcus, no, whatever that means. Marcus, no, question
Add
mark,
plot card
no.
133 to case 2.
Yeah, done that, yeah.
Oh, you did that.
Marcus plus
Is
day.
it unresolved?
Okay.
Well, I think that's...
That's June the
I
15th.
think that's a bit of a waste.
You reckon?
Mm.
We can't use it anyway because we haven't got the.
Did that cost any more time?
Doctor, who he was. Doctor.
So we can go to Richmond Police Department. We can go to the lab, look at the shreds, historical
Yeah,
consultation.
yeah, go there.
Want to do that?
Lab? 1 hour?
Yeah. 118. 3 hours. We're going to take another stress. Fortunately, the road is not bothersome, and after a dozen or so minutes you reach the laboratory. You scan your badge at the entrance and go to the 8th floor where as you pass a glass door, the outside world disappears. Only the whiteness and silence of the registry office remain. You log into the system and type the evidence number of the items to be examined, approximate dimensions, scope of research, and as usual, you tick the high priority procedure box. 2 hours later, you receive a notification that the tests have been completed and are provided an access code for the encrypted files containing the results. Evidence: paper shreds from the typewriter with fingerprint marks at the edge of the torn fragment. An incomplete set of fingerprints from the upper part of the 4 fingertips has been found. Prints made when the paper was being torn away. What is this for you? Do you want to do scans? SD.
SD.
Yeah. And it's KLXX2S.
Hold on. KL. What?
XX
Thank you. Yeah.
2S
2S.
hyphen HJP XTE.
Is that it?
Yep.
What description?
It's incomplete set of fingerprints from the upper part of the fingertips was found. Prints made paper shreds from the typewriter with fingerprint marks.
Should I just put paper?
Hang on.
Paper shreds?
Yeah. It says, in addition, ink particles were obtained from the typewriter's roller. By developing a paper wrap matrix relative to the roller, some words were able to be identified, and we can spend one of the computer tokens to try and decipher the letter.
Yay!
We may as well. Right, first of all, we've got to read 118. Read file at 118.
Right.
Okay, so you want to go to the file at 118. And then we'll just try and decipher the words.
Well, kill, nick, handle, conflict, valuable,
Paper shreds.
add to testimony, and what's the German's name, Nazi's name at the bottom, blocked.
Who's Nick? Is any Nick on any of
Need to
these
write this
pictures?
down.
Son, no.
Nick Torn.
That's him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Nick Torn. That's got to be referring to him. So it's like kill Nick. Let's read file 118, is it? So we're going to try and decipher the letter, yeah?
Yep.
So you have a flair for word games. In college you used to spend hundreds of hours on such quizzes. You sit at the computer and run a few simple programs which, based on similar documents from the period, check the potential. You sit at the computer and run a few simple programs which, based on similar documents from this period, check the potential versions of the text in the context of the case and additional keywords. It's obvious that you will not be able to reproduce what the author wrote precisely, but you can probably get some additional information. Finally, after a few minutes of work, adding words, eliminating evident misses, and, let's be honest, good fun, you conclude at the very most likely variant. Killed, no match Nick, handed accomplices, they did not notice valuables, want to testify together with Bloodholtz. Add one doodah to the token
Right,
pool.
so that's the translation, is that?
Yeah.
Say that again.
Killed, no match Nick, handed accomplices they did not notice, valuables, want to testify together with Bloodholtz. Killed. What's that meant to me?
Okay.
Any idea what that means? I have no idea.
I wonder if Bloodholtz gave them the watch so that they wouldn't arrest him for crimes
Yeah.
straight after the war. It's sort of a bribe to get him out so he could escape.
I don't know. Someone
Yeah.
died.
Could have done it.
Yeah.
Okay, what else we got?
Historical consultation on evidence material. Oh, we're in there. Don't want to take any more things, do we? So
We've got Brenner,
it's the last day then.
Brenner,
This is the last day
Yeah.
to solve it.
Nick
We've done
Jordan,
well.
Return, Buddies. Richard Briggs, 12:30 p.m. What's that then? 7th Army in Europe. So I reckon that's the group in
Yeah.
that picture.
Yeah, that's the group, isn't it?
Mm.
We still don't know who he is, though, do we?
So what they've got here, Brenner. You got Brenner on there.
No, you've got it. I'm somewhere.
Oh, here we are. Dawson, Coxon, Nick Torn.
I don't know who the fourth one is.
So it's Brenner or Brown. Got Brown, their boss, with a question mark. And there's 3 question marks over his head.
Mm. Should we have a look at the historical consultation, 122?
Yeah.
Since we're in there,
That cost us.
probably.
Oh, it's time, isn't it?
Yeah. So headquarters, 1 hour, plus 2 hours. Brubenbeck wants to meet directly in the evidence storage. You bump into each other in the corridor. The professor greets you with a nod, finishing the conversation he is having over the phone. Yes, Catty, I'll be there on time, I remember. He looks at the box you have under your arm and rubs his hands. Crazy. That makes sense, does it? We haven't got the box under our hands, so I suppose that's unresolved, isn't it?
Talking about the
We've
cigar
already,
box.
we've already opened it, haven't we?
What, cigar box?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but okay, he's got the cigar box on him. We took it from the evidence room. Just assumed we got it
What
on
was that
this.
67 Dawson box?
That was a file
Oh.
that the Slater, the police.
No,
do.
just assume he's
Yeah.
got it under his.
That was
Oh, was it?
67,
Oh,
still
yeah,
got it on
67
him.
Dawson.
Okay. Crazy day. I have lots of meetings. He looks at his watch. We have an hour. Can we take a look at this in the cafeteria? I will not have time for lunch later. We take the elevator to the first floor and sit at the window table. Brubenbeck orders a salad. Who's Brubenbeck? Orders a
He's
salad.
the historical
All right.
thingy dude.
Orders a salad and a Coke and then starts to inspect. An ashtray made from an artillery shell, probably belonging to someone associated with the army. It's authentic. It seems to me like a souvenir from the campaign during the Second World War.
It's similar to that picture, isn't it?
Please look at these signs at the bottom. The signatures indicate the ammunition sent to Europe. What else? The photos do not tell me much. And he pauses in the middle of the sentence. Oh, that's interesting. Picks up a gold pendant and starts examining it from all sides. He pulls out his phone and checks something. This is a medal commemorating the sacrament of baptism, Woolston, 1940. So, internet sign there, Gav. Woolston. WOLSZTYN.
It's all German.
I don't know.
I would imagine that's Polish with
Oh.
a Z in
Polish,
it.
I would have
Yeah,
thought,
I don't know. Woolston.
We've got a few hours to solve the case. Mind bending.
It's a town in Poland.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Funny old thing. That
It's a town in western Poland on the western edge of the Greater Poland Voivodeship. It's a place in Poland.
During World War II, they displaced Poles and Jews from there. What's that got to do with anything?
Well, this is to do with the main dude, isn't it? The German.
Yeah.
Probably where he was. So maybe that's where the watch is from as well.
It's a medal. Sacrament baptism.
Was it a battle? It says 1940, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a place during World War II. They displaced Poles and Jews from there. God, I don't even know what we're meant to be looking for. Do you?
No.
There's nothing to link anything with anything. I was just like this.
It's a Holocaust memory. So it's doing the Holocaust.
It's like there's a watch that's been pawned, and we've got to find out how it came to go from.
Well, we're trying to find out whether or not that German came over from Germany to avoid war crimes, and he brought the watch with him. And we're trying to make it sure that the press don't find out about it.
Okay.
That's the overall story.
I mean, this carries on in case 2, so things that we may or may not have learned now will become relevant later on.
Yeah. So we've got these 3.
Well, yeah, that's a bit. The thing I'm confused about is that if you don't choose to do the further lead straight away, does it get discarded? Because the timeline gets disrupted then, doesn't it? Lead cards on the cards, see witnesses. Search the deck. Check the leads. Right. Read the. When you encounter a signature, right, the side will like to dig deeper, but not any further leads. Place the card aside because it's now resolved. If the card doesn't have this signature, what do you do? Place the card aside. Remember that we do not have access to the back of these cards. You saw the back side of the card. Right. So the further leads section on the card lists the other lead cards you may decide to follow at any time during the game. You must finish resolving the current card before following the other lead. So yes, you can do that.
You can go back to it.
What
Yeah,
about
you
this?
can. Yeah, not a lot really.
Oh.
Yeah, that.
Apart from confusion,
Wolsztyn is a place in Poland.
Oh, right.
place in Poland where they rounded up Jews,
Oh, okay.
Polish.
Right, so, right, okay.
Yeah.
It's probably where what's his name came from, Kurt Bluntholz.
Bluntholz.
Right, so what's next? These 3?
Well, yeah, I suppose so.
What have we got?
Historical evidence. Did we do that 122? So we've done that, and make sure that's all the evidence. Did we do that? I can't remember if we did that.
To make sure.
No, we didn't.
So that's going to cost us a search token.
Yeah.
Well, we have.
What is it that, what's that, evidence of what?
To make sure that all the evidence that we got here
Yeah,
is all of it.
Oh, we did do that one. Oh, we didn't do
No,
that
we
one.
didn't.
I think you ought to do that then.
Yeah.
Okay,
Seems
so
we're getting
let's
into
spend that.
Poland.
Julie puts one of them grey tokens on her thing, so she's done that. We have done that.
Oh,
Yeah, we have done that.
all right.
So that's resolved. Right. Compare the scans with the original. You've got one of them tokens, haven't you?
Search.
So we do that then.
No, I haven't got that one.
Yeah, but we don't. Julie's special abilities that. Right, apart from Susie, there are several other people working in the archives whom you don't trust. You do not want to have to come back here in an hour because there is something missing from the file. Take the scan out of your briefcase and decide to compare it with the original documents. You flash your badge at the archive employee and ask him to show you the contents of the original folder so you can be sure that you have a complete scan. The guy's grumpy, but you have experience. Old papers, archives and evidence magazines are at your domain. You share some stories from the archives in Missouri. where you had your training years ago, and the atmosphere lightens. The employee waves his hand and lets you inside. He points to the right bookshelf and says you can rummage through them freely. He leaves, wishing you good luck. That's exactly what you wanted. You go to the bookshelf and rifle through the box with the 67 files. You see that sandwiched between the notes is a small crumpled piece of paper. It must have fallen out of one of the files. Yes, you know it looks like a stroke of luck. Why not? Sometimes these things just happen. The information on the note signed in the name Slater. It reads, in the investigation, the fingerprints of Henrietta Marcos and her 2 children were omitted. Henrietta was a neighbour and a housekeeper. The prints of her and her children, mainly her son Andrew, were practically all over the house. Apart from that, the scans match the original.
Can we look up Henrietta?
No, not only if it's got an at sign.
So the scans are the same as the
Yeah.
original.
Did you add 3 hours? No.
We have this over this side one, so
okay.
we're just doing the extra
Right,
bit.
next.
So does that mean that that has been resolved now?
No. So we can either... What's this? So we can either go to the police station, Richmond PD.
But Julie can't use that.
No. Or we can go to the headquarters and get some information on Baber and Sons.
Yeah, we should do waiver.
I think that goes
Headquarters?
To the headquarters, that's fine. So we pressed Owens further. Did we do that? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
but you need one of those.
Yeah, I don't know if we did it.
We can't do that, can we?
No.
What do you think? I'll read the back.
Yeah, I don't think we can do that. No, you can't read the back. Actually, I haven't done it. That's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah. So once you've done that, I don't think it's not really clear, is it? But anyway, 120.
Now you said you could go back to it.
Yeah, I need the further leads, but I think that you have to make that decision whether or not you're going to press in further before you. Once you've taken the extra leads, you can't go back and then do that. So you have to resolve this first and then decide whether you're going to do that. 120. 1 hour. You turn on the main monitor. The 80-inch beast made to order for Antares is hanging on the wall across from your desks. You begin to pin the folders of data relating to Weber and Sons. 2 desktop towers begin the data hunt. You use one of the machines to search the Virginia court files for cases conducted by Weber and Son. On the other, you find company employees. God, my nose has gone all weird. Their accounts on social networking sites, photos, speeches, and anything else that could help you draw conclusions. You finish off some Chinese food brought in by someone from downstairs and view a data about Adam Weber on your laptop. His earnings, expenses, insurance, trips. Meanwhile, the 2 desktop PCs put everything that matters on the main monitor. Unfortunately, there's no match. Weber and Sons is a small law firm run by a father and son, Adam Weber, Owens lawyer, and its owner. He specialises in submitting medical and post-accident claims. Neither his past income nor his affairs indicate anything interesting. He met Rupert Owens when the latter was caught on DUI charges. His son graduated from law 3 years ago and has been a partner since then.
Dead end then.
Dead end.
Dead end.
Right.
Did you put an hour on?
Yeah. So visit to police station. That's the only lead we've got left. So 1 hour and 109.
This is the last day.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right. 2 hours. The 6th Richmond Police Station is a place always bustling with life, though today the lobby is quiet and peaceful. It's as if rain made even the criminals stay inside, perhaps to give the cops an opportunity to say goodbye to Slater. You look around for someone familiar. You spot Susie Washington from the archives, but she seems to be in the middle of a discussion. You see Tarkovsky behind the glass door of the investigation room. You knock, nodding to Tarkovsky. He gestures you to come in. The room has a relaxed atmosphere. A few cans of Coke, donuts, laughter. It's been 30 years since Slater retired, but there are still a few cops who worked with him, or at least have heard about him. The police are like a family. Generations work here, and Slater was a living legend. A few of the cops are sharing stories about their late friend. One is bragging that during the first month of his service he knocked out a guy who wounded Slater with a screwdriver. Another mentions the who's that? That rings a bell.
Yeah, I said to you that was he had a
he
knee
was
wound.
Mead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Another mentions the 80s when they were in a high-speed chase but ran out of fuel. They had to wait for another patrol car to bring them gas. Thus the petrol patrol nickname was born. After retiring, Slater often jogged by the police station. He liked to stay current on all the happenings at the station and offer advice when solicited. He knew his stuff. They said he always had a hunch. Rumour had it that he worked even more at home when he kept a lot of the files and notes from his previous cases. He archived everything thoroughly, and we can ask about Slater's old cases if we've got a question mark thing, which we don't, so we can't.
There's a question mark thing.
That skill token. We don't have any. So
Can we not get one?
no, we've used your ability. Although
Well, it says here I could spend one of those stars and an appropriate skill token from the token pool to dig deeper on a lead card that's already been resolved.
Oh, okay.
So we can do that with that.
Yeah. That one. Where is it?
Does that mean I give you this?
No. I was about to say his old cases, right. Among the cops, you spot an older guy who looks less cheerful than the others. You ask Tarkovsky about him. That's Jack Rivieres, Slater's old pal, his first partner. They worked in homicide together in the 60s. Decide to ask Rivieres about Slater. Yes, Michael was a good guy, the type of cop that everyone respects. Even the young people thought they knew everything. Even the young people who thought they knew everything. He had something in him, a kind of calmness and precision. He wasn't knowledgeable about new technology, but nobody teased him about that. People knew that even without such tech he would find out more than the others. He often took work home with him, working overtime. It was his life. A pencil, a notebook, a work around the clock. Even if the case was a no-brainer, he dug deeper. I remember that in the late 60s he worked on the murder case of some florist. The top was pressing us to close the case as fast as possible, and Mike was running around pissed all week that they wouldn't let him do his job. I told him to let it go, but he never listened. I don't know what happened after that. They transferred me shortly after. After about half an hour of hanging out with cops, reminiscing about Slater, you no longer have any doubts. The guy kept his case files at home. The pencil and notebook he was always writing in were mentioned several times. Do you want to disturb Slater's widow? Visit Christine Slater, 104 Fieldwork.
We've done that.
I thought we'd done
So
it.
that
We
should
did
have been
that.
done first then, should that? And then gone to...
Well,
It says that this, in the book it says this, it may reveal stuff you already know.
Oh, right, okay.
So that's resolved.
Right.
104. Yeah, well, we've done that.
We did one before, we visited that.
Yeah, so, I mean, not really many leads we can do, is there? That's it, isn't it?
Tell you that one.
It's the last day as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tell
Well-
you that we've got to do, isn't it?
Yeah, we haven't got the thing to do it.
Haven't got what to do.
Right, so we
yet.
take the final, take the final report then.
Yeah.
So you
go on then.
can't do
No.
anything else on it.
No,
Final report.
we have to do the final report.
Right, is that it then?
Yeah, so we have to do the final report.
Mm.
What does it say?
You should finish your game first. Are you ready now to see and answer questions
Yeah.
for case a man with a
Yeah,
golden watch?
only do one because it may ask you different questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can only do one.
Go on, do yours then,
Say
Margaret.
yes.
All right.
So it's going to be multiple
I've got
choice
with a screen,
questions.
haven't I? Okay. Right, during the investigation, our teams determined that Robert Owens found the watch beneath the floorboards of the porch of his family home. Robert Owens got it from his mother. Rupert Owens, bought it on a pawn shop. We don't know where Rupert Owens got the watch.
We don't know where you got
So
the watch.
if you get it wrong, you get negative points. If you get it right, you get positive. If you say you don't know, you don't get any
We
points.
don't know, do we? We never found that out.
I thought it was in a pawn shop.
He sold it to the pawn
He
shop.
sold
sold
it.
it,
He
right.
sold it to the pawn
I'm
shop.
sure we know. I don't know.
So we don't know.
No. Say don't know.
So I thought he said he got it from his parents.
You sure?
I can always look at.
That's too late.
Oh, is it?
It's all done. How do you know?
What when he went to the pawn shop? He said he got it from his parents.
When the police interviewed him,
Is it on your notes?
No.
he said he got it from his parents.
Hmm.
His father's pawn shop. That's where it came from.
Is that on the list?
Rupert Owens bought it in a
No.
pawn shop.
No, but you said he got it from his parents. It's different.
Hmm.
What are the other choices?
Got it from his mother. We don't know where he got it from. Rupert Owens
Did
found a
Mr. and
watch.
Mrs. Ying sell the gold watch
Yeah,
for
they
easy
bought it
money?
off him. They bought it off him. So he got it from his mother then? You could put that.
Beneath the floorboards of I don't remember the floorboards
No,
coming
but
up.
you
do
said that you got it from his parents, and you could say you got it from his mother.
Because he said it was his dad's pawn shop, didn't he?
I don't remember that.
Came from his dad's pawn shop.
That's not from his mother then, is it?
But what, he wouldn't have bought it in a pawn shop, would he?
No, he was trying to sell it, wasn't he?
He did sell it though, didn't he?
No, he did sell it to him.
It
Yeah,
was-
but that's not.
That
On
was
the,
in auction though, wasn't that?
Yeah.
yeah, but that's not on the
Auction
list, is it? So we don't know.
house. I thought we don't know.
Just wait for Mal.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait for that.
I'm sure it was. He said it was from his father's pawn shop.
Oh, and that's on the list.
Well, Rupert Owens bought it in a pawn shop, but he didn't buy it.
No,
He got it from his mother. Well, his mother
I don't remember that.
would have been there in the pawn shop, wouldn't it?
We don't know.
No, we don't know. Next.
Okay. We have also concluded that Marcus Owens, the father of Rupert Owens, was the previous owner of the watch, which he bought from Horatio Dawson. He stole from Dawson's house. He got from
You have to
Henry
make-
Giles.
Tell us that their options.
Yeah. Oh, A.
Yeah.
He bought from Horatio Dawson.
No,
B. He stole from Dawson's house.
possibly.
C. He got from Henry Giles in exchange for silence. And D. We don't know how he got it.
Don't know.
I don't know. For sure. Say the options again.
A. He bought from Horatio Dawson. Well, he didn't, did he? He was a thief.
Yeah, he stole it off
He
Horatio.
stole it. B. He stole from Dawson's house. C. He got from Henry Giles in exchange for silence.
Who was in that house when there was that scuffle?
That was the other guy.
That was
Giles.
Horatio Owens on the stairs.
He was killed.
Yeah.
Marcus Owen was there, and there was another guy there.
So
Yeah.
who? Let's say he got it from who?
He bought it from Horatio Dawson. He stole it from Dawson's house.
I would say that.
He got it from
So
Henry
there's a
Giles in
scuffle
exchange
there,
for
wasn't
silence. Well, he won in
No,
the wall,
he,
so...
he nicked it from
Dawson's
his house.
house?
Yeah, nicked from his
Yeah?
house. Yeah.
At some point, the watch was in the possession of Horatio Dawson, and we are certain that A. He brought it back as a memento of the campaign in Europe. B. He received it as a bribe while stationed at Brenner Pass. C. He received it as a thank you for saving a life during a shooting in Sicily.
No.
D. We don't know how he got it. I think it was a bribe.
Well, there's no evidence for that at all, is there? I didn't come across any of
Well,
that.
I think that deciphered letter hinted that there was some sort of deal.
Yeah. Yeah, the letter. Where was it?
The one that you translated.
That was on there. It's too late now.
No, you had it. I didn't have it.
On the
You
card.
translated it from a
Card.
card. So
Yeah,
I reckon it was a
card.
bribe.
It was on the back of
Oh,
something.
I don't even know what it is.
The letter that was deciphered, yeah.
Um,
Because don't forget that German. We don't know how he died or anything about him. He disappeared.
What's that thing?
It's one of the ones you've used.
Did you put it in there?
No. Where was that then?
No, but you definitely read it out.
Look down on the
It's not in there. Where was that?
You haven't put it back in that one, have you?
No. No idea where that went. We don't know.
Yeah, but don't we have to take a guess?
No, that could be right. It's not in there.
It must be somewhere.
I don't even know what I was looking at it on.
Yeah, because you was it in one of the books? You looked up in one of the books.
No, it was on a card.
Was it?
It can't be on a card because the card's not there.
It wasn't in that thing, was it? That?
No. No.
Hmm.
Don't know.
Oh, it was
Say
online.
again?
It was online. It was on. It was online.
No, I haven't got it then. If it was
Yeah.
online.
Oh yeah, because you had to look at the thing.
I've
It's too
got
late
the
now.
original, but
Hmm.
the translation bit, I didn't do it.
Yeah, it was a.
Maybe
thing
you were
online.
reading the phone then.
No, it was on there. It was a look at the a file thing on there.
Yeah, I know, but it was a broken one. The translation.
The translation was on there.
It's
I
here.
did see it on here.
Yeah, you can't look at it, Gav.
Oh.
Not now.
I
Well,
didn't.
we don't know.
You sure?
Yes, I'm sure it wasn't on the card. It was on there.
It was on the. It was on
Yeah,
the
it was
computer.
on-
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So what are we going to say?
We don't know.
Yeah.
We-
I think it's a bribe, but there
Go
you
on,
go.
go on.
Put bribe in then as a guess.
Okay. Right, okay. Final report. As for when Kurt Bultholtz got the watch, our team were able to determine that he stole it from one of his patients, he stole it from the museum in Posen, he received it as payment for sparing the life of a rich Jewish prisoner. With his track record, we don't know where he got it.
God, there's
We don't know where we got it. We have no idea
no,
at all.
there's no clue
No.
to that at all.
No?
Don't know.
No.
No, don't know. There's no mention of that at
No.
all.
Okay. These findings conclude our investigation of the matter of the Golden Watch. Delaware sends you an email with some additional questions. During your investigation, you're able to acquire additional knowledge concerning Mr. Dawson. There are certain details of his death that remain questionable. In fact, the whole robbery seems suspicious. I would like to ask you some additional questions about that. First of all, are you able to determine with absolute certainty who killed Horatio Dawson?
No, because we never found out the blood type, did we?
Right, okay. A. Henry Giles, B. Marcus Owens, C. None of the above, and D. We don't know.
Who? What?
Well, Marcus Owen and
Well, he's the son. Marcus Owen.
Marcus Owen was at the robbery, and the
Yeah.
other guy was the one who they thought did it, and he got
Mm.
killed in the shootout.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So,
But he had a different blood type.
shall we put none of the above?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Okay. And what? Right. And from what I could see in Mr. Dawson's file, he was a soldier in the
Yeah.
7th Army.
Yeah.
Do you know about?
I'm struggling to match these names to anything in the game.
Shut up, Matthew.
I can't remember.
Do you know about any officer that might have been involved with Dawson?
Who's Dawson?
The one who was down the stairs.
The one who got
Yeah, well,
robbed.
who's that? What is
He
what-
was in the army.
What's the relation? What's
Well,
the
it's something
point?
to do with the gold watch, wasn't it? We want to
Seventh
find out
Army.
who. We don't even know who brought the gold watch over, do we?
Who's Dawson? What is it? What's
Well, because you haven't linked him with the soldiers, but he was a soldier, the one who was fell down the stairs, if you like,
when?
and he was in the 7th Army. The 7th Army was on one of the.
What? It's okay saying he's the bloke who fell down the stairs. What's the point? What's that got to do with anything?
Well, he probably had the gold watch, and it was probably robbed by Marcus Owen, who took it to the pawn shop.
Okay, so do you know about any other officer that might have been involved with Dawson? A. Sergeant Michael Slater.
Maybe.
That's the policeman.
Yeah.
He's the one who died, isn't he?
We
Yeah.
got hit and run by.
He's the one
Who?
who...
Whoever.
B. Colonel Samuel Brown.
Who?
No idea.
Been
what that is.
mentioned.
He's on the card.
He's on the card.
Yeah, but that's it.
C. General Henry Brown. And D. We don't know.
Slater.
Slater?
Yeah, dirty cop.
Yeah, but he had a good reputation, so it's obviously not him.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
seems that
Well,
Horatio
hiding.
Dawson needed a lot of money. Well, he took out 16,000, didn't he?
Who's the
He emptied
florist?
his account.
No, the florist was Horatio Dawson.
Yeah, that's
Dawson.
him. I would like to know if you determine what might have been for, what the money was for. So he took out 16,000.
I don't know.
So was it for A, to help a female patient?
Who's
B,
that
to
lady?
pay a court fine?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. C, to travel the world? Or D, we don't know.
Yeah,
Evidence.
that's
She was a
for-
got to be that, isn't it?
To
Yeah.
help her out.
Female patient?
Yeah.
I thought she was a hospital rather than...
Yeah.
Okay, save. Oh dear.
What?
Victory points, we got 7 out of 40.
Yeah.
You didn't do well. Final report points, 5 out of 23.
Yeah.
Additional questions, 2 out of 4. Matching evidence, 0 out of 13.
What else? Scroll down a little bit. Does it say about it?
Our final score is,
0.
What was that?
fill out this field. Oh,
Yeah.
stress tokens.
3.
Okay. 4 out of 40, case lost.
Well, that's just a complete mess.
Oh dear.
God knows.
Well, it's because you're not used to doing them.
Well, no, it's not, is it? It's just the game's a complete mess. I mean, isn't it?
I have no idea.
How the hell are you meant to make sense of any of that?
Yeah, it was
It's just a complete mess.
too hard.
Oh dear.
The other one was better,
The
wasn't it?
thing is, you went to carry on now and do case 2 with no clue about what's
We've got
happening.
time.
Ah,
So we won't be
We've
playing.
got evidence in there.
So we won't be playing that game again then.
well, gosh,
We've got evidence in the bag.
Mm.
what a load of crap.
So what's the evidence? We won't know now, will we?
Well, just some of the A.
I think what you have to do is go online and see someone play it.
Well, then it spoils the game. Then
Yeah, but I'm just saying, just to see where we went wrong.
We could watch the first case and see how they do it.
Yeah.
Now we know.
but then that will reveal spoilers for the next one.
Yeah, but the
Yeah,
thing
but
is,
Matthew, we're not going to play it again, are we? Let's face it.
Yeah.
I think your mum was getting into it.